What's up everyone, hope y'all are doing well. Welcome to episode 10 of the Jimmy Restoration series in partnership with O'Reilly Auto Parts. In today's video, we're putting the Jimmy under the knife by pulling the original engine. My friend Joseph's on his way over to give me a hand with this. I know it's spur of the moment, like, oh, today we're just pulling the engine, okay, but it's something I've been working on for a while now. This engine has 207,000 miles on it. There's nothing inherently wrong with it, it's just getting a bit tired. It burns a lot of oil. Every time you start it up, every time you let it sit for 20 minutes, it burns a lot and it leaks a ton. You can actually watch the oil drip out of this engine from multiple spots. So it's old and tired and it either needed to be rebuilt or replaced. So for just ease of everything and getting it done quicker, we're just gonna replace the engine. There's been a ton of people messaging me about more Jimmy content, so it's going to be really cool how we're going to do this process. So today, we're going to pull the engine and get everything cleared out to make it a lot easier to go ahead and rebuild the steering and suspension. Once all of that stuff is done, I can restore the engine bay, replace all the rubber pieces, the fender liners, the hood pad. Not sure if I'll film a dedicated video on that yet. If you want me to, just post in the comments below. But there's a lot of stuff that we can do at the same time before we swap the new engine in, so by the time the new engine is in, everything will be brand new in the front suspension and the truck's gonna just drive amazing. So first thing we're gonna do is drain the coolant. Gonna open up the radiator cap and get this thing up on the lift. Alright guys, we're about to drain the oil. I figured this was a good opportunity to show you the underside of just how oily this thing is. You can see several drops coming off of the oil pan there. It is just caked from lots and lots of years, many miles of driving with oil leaks. This is going to be a lot of fun trying to clean up. We're about to pull the engine and do all this stuff on the Jimmy. Still haven't finished all the engine stuff on the 240. Makes me a little nervous. It's a lot going on at one time.
You ready?
Yep. Works. All right, so we have the hood off, which gives us plenty of light for working. You can see a lot better. The next step is going to be removing the grill and the bumper. Now, this is not a necessary step to removing the engine, but since I'm going to be rebuilding the steering and the suspension, it's just going to give me a lot more room to work and easier access from doing it top down versus the bottom, and it'll allow us to film a lot easier. So at least in my case, it makes sense to do that. One of the trouble spots for these things is the remote oil cooler. See, the filter is right down below there, so it's nice having the ability to, just get at the filter from here, but these lines can be pretty troublesome as they get old. They start leaking. There's actually instances where they can bust, but you can see that trail of oil going all the way down there from where that was leaking pretty bad, so we'll have to replace all that stuff. The lower line's not even tight. I could probably get it off by hand.
If you're going, you're still at wrench back.
Yeah, go for it. I got it. That's crazy. Well, I'm glad that didn't blow out. probably would have been doing the engine a little sooner.
Yeah. A lot of times it's the O-rings will disintegrate, so it creates a gap in the fitting.
I was about to make this a lot harder than myself. I started taking off the shroud and all that stuff, and Joseph brought up a really good point that I didn't even think about. Once we take off the oil cooler lines, all we have to do is undo the core support from the fender and the frame and just lift this entire assembly off with the radiator and all this stuff still attached, so that saves a bit of time. Oh, I forgot. This would be a good time to change these bushings up here.
Don't do it unless you're going to do the rest of them. Because newer ones will be thicker, your door gaps will be off. Because it'll lift this up versus the rest.
Oh, is he something crazy?
Let's see it.
Somebody put a shop towel in there to catch all of the oil that was dripping out of those cooler lines. Good night.
That works, I guess.
Joseph brought up another good point. That's why there's no rust on this truck. It's because it's completely covered in oil. Wow. Yeah, these are in much, much better shape than that red S10 was. You could paint these or powder coat these, make them look brand new. We need to replace all of the body bushings, so we might do this in the midst of this whole engine swap process. We'll see. This is pretty cool. This is an air diverter, so it goes in right there. I might take these old clips off and just put some nuts in there to secure it a little bit better, but it directs the airflow up into the factory intake, so that's pretty nifty. Can't say the same for the bushing on the passenger side. It's yikes. We can't put this back in like this. All right, so video about replacing body bushings now, I guess. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Thanks, Jimmy.
About this point that you start wondering what in the world you got yourself into. This thing is a mess. I'm glad we're going to this level of doing everything, because it's just, there's so much oil caked on everything in here. It is unbelievable, but thank goodness there's not a speck of rust on any of these metal fender liners or anything like that. The next step is going to be jacking this back up in the air so we can remove the Y pipe from the exhaust manifolds and drop the front drive shaft. The reason we need to take out the front drive shaft, I don't know if you can see it, but the 3 bolts that connect the Y pipe to the manifold, there's not enough clearance to get around this and get them all. So by getting this out of here, we can get our tool up there and get it out a lot easier.
Yep, angle, come down that.
And what was that you pulled?
This is the cap for the U-joint. The only thing that makes me nervous,
Yeah.
those are supposed to have grease in them for as saturated in oil as that is. How much grease did it push out, and has it caused any damage?
To the U-joints.
To the U-joint.
Yeah.
That actually broke through, didn't it?
Yep, it sure did.
That's crazy.
We gotta pull this dust covered so we can get the torque converter bolts for inside. And then we'll have to unmount the trans lines from the block. Finesse, bend, same thing. Yeah, I thought this whole stud moved.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty wiggly. I'd get a new one.
Just this part that unbolts.
You can, or you can get a whole new starter for the cost of that solenoid versus a starter.
Almost done down here. We have to remove the bolts holding the flex plate onto the torque converter, some bell housing bolts, and undo the motor mounts. What did you do?
Put ginger power on.
Wow,
Alright, so
okay.
there's one. You ain't got much further. Right up there, should be able to get your handle on it.
Okay.
Man, that's got that torque arm right there. Yeah, take that off too.
What's that?
This transmission stabilizer, or the transfer case stabilizer arm, because you'll need it off to get to that last one.
This?
No, this bar right here.
Oh.
It goes to that lower bolt, so when you get this off and that lower bolt off, this will come off. Then you can get to the bolt above it, and then the one that's halfway up the bell housing.
Oh, good God. Got it.
You're out. Don't pull that.
Wow, that sucked.
Now, that's all done to there. I think those top two you can get. The next two up,
Uh-huh.
I think you can get from the top side. The one, I know you won't be able to get from down here.
Mm-hmm.
It has the dipstick tube bolted to it.
Okay.
So you'll have to do that from the top side. As far as the motor mounts, you can do those from the top side, being the core supports out. That's real easy to do.
Uh-huh. There's two bolts on the top of the bell housing that are just really hard to get to. I broke it loose. And I'm trying to turn it by hand. It's just not working out too well. Oh, godly. Of course it does. But yeah, nice. This is Justin, guys. He's the manager at my local O'Reilly store. Didn't know I was going to put you at work today, huh?
No, but hey.
He came out for a simple visit, and I was like, hey, there's two bolts I can't reach. How do I do them?
We found them.
We did. Just one more to go. All right. Back to hunting. I tried to take off the exhaust hanger here, and one side snapped off because it was so rusty. I had to cut that off, and the pipe has been squeezed onto, between this and the catalytic converter. There's not enough clearance to move it back and forth to try to get it out. So I'm just gonna cut it off because I think I can get access to that last bell housing bolt up there, but the exhaust is in the way. And I can get another Y pipe with manifolds, or we can do a custom exhaust or something. I don't care anymore. We gotta get this done. It's out.
Well, that side is.
It's okay.
Yep.
Got it.
All right. Teamwork. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Everything underneath is taken apart, so now we're just working on removing some of this accessory drive to free up some space, and just work on taking off all the wires and hoses.
Now it's way much easier to get to that power steering pump.
True.
Just throwing that out there.
The whole thing, or just this?
This bolt,
Yeah.
these. And then map sensor, throttle position sensor.
voiceover material.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we look like we're in Japanese movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Very technical crap.
Oh,
It's back there. We'll find it when we get the motor up.
Oh yeah, it will reappear.
it will. And it started shift flash and check gauges.
Chris is a good friend. I said, ooh, this could hurt. Boom, instantly filming.
Hey, as long as you get it on camera, then it's okay, right? That's YouTube. That's clickbait gold.
I blew my elbow off pulling out the Jimmy engine.
So we're about to pull the engine out, and a pretty cool thing, there are engine slingers already on from the factory. One right there, and one, yeah, right there. So it's gonna make things a bit easier.
Slow.
Feels like it's getting a little tight.
Keep going up.
Hey, it still has some water in it.
Yep. Oh. Squeeze the sides, and then the two tabs will open up.
There we go. There's the rest of that harness.
Oh, grounds.
Yep, we got a couple grounds done up there.
Okay.
But the newest one showed up. I'm out in the truck warming it up. Go to work on it.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay.
See, I told you didn't go down.
Nope. Right. We're free. That's a mess.
You want to know what the best part of that mess is?
That you don't have to clean it. All right, guys, we are done. It's a very productive day. Got the engine out, learned a lot. The next step is going to be to get the right length bolts for the back of this so I can get it affixed to my stand and start removing everything that needs to be removed, as well as tackling this giant mess. Gonna have an absolute field day with degreaser. A lot of stuff needs to be cleaned. There's gonna be a lot of things that I'm gonna end up replacing just, for precautionary measures. Joseph set up a 2x4 back there to prevent the transmission from sagging, so that's in a good position. But yeah, certainly a fun day. There was by far a lot more involved with pulling this engine than the 240SX. And the biggest hindrance really was the fact that it was four-wheel drive. There was a lot more stuff that needed to be taken off that just isn't there on two-wheel drive models. So it just took some extra time, some patience, and creative problem solving, but I'd say today it was an overwhelming success. Well, everyone, that pretty much wraps up this video. I hope y'all enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like below. I really appreciate the support with ratings, comments, and all of that good stuff. It makes a big difference with getting videos out there on YouTube with the algorithm and whatnot nowadays. Also, a huge thanks once again to O'Reilly Auto Parts for their continued support in the series. As always, we have a lot more stuff where that came from, so if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so. I think you'll really enjoy it. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.